When you see someone driving a Lamborghini, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? Do you think, wow, that person is rich? Or, I wish I had that car? Here's the truth. The person behind the wheel probably isn't the one you're thinking about at all. In fact, you're not admiring them. You're imagining yourself in their seat. This is the man in the car paradox, a powerful psychological trap Morgan Housel explains in Chapter 8 of The Psychology of Money. And today, we're going to unpack why our efforts to impress others often backfire, and how understanding this can completely change the way you spend your money and live your life. What is the man in the car paradox? Housel begins with a surprisingly honest truth. When someone sees you with an expensive car, they don't think about you. They think about themselves driving that car. This is the paradox. You spend money on visible symbols of success thinking others will admire you, but in reality, they hardly notice you. They notice the thing. You may believe buying luxury items will earn you respect, but instead of admiration for you, most people project themselves into the fantasy of owning what you have. It's human nature. People center the story on themselves. The psychology behind it. Why does this happen? 1. Ego-centered thinking. Humans are naturally self-focused. When we see something desirable, we imagine ourselves with it, not the owner. 2. Status signals are misinterpreted. Status symbols, like a Rolex, a private jet, a luxury handbag, are intended to elevate the person who owns them. But the audience sees them through their own desires, not as a sign of the owner's worth. 3. Invisible versus visible respect. True respect is rarely bought. It's earned through behavior, trust, and relationships. But visible luxury is loud, so people think it will earn them instant admiration. It doesn't. Real-world examples. Example 1. The Lamborghini effect. You see someone in a $300,000 car at a red light. Do you think, that's John? He must be such a disciplined, hard-working person? Number. You think, that's a cool car. I'd look amazing in that. Example 2. The Rolex in the boardroom. A senior executive buys a Rolex thinking subordinates will respect his authority more. They notice the watch, but they're thinking, one day I'll get a Rolex when I make more money. Not, wow, my boss is a great leader. Example 3. Social media. Flexing Instagram influencers post luxury vacations, designer clothes, exotic cars. The audience often thinks, I want that life, not this person must be amazing. It shifts attention away from you to the lifestyle fantasy. Why this is a problem? The man in the car paradox creates two big traps. Spending money to gain respect you'll never receive. If people don't think of you when they see your possessions, then your purchases don't achieve the goal of admiration. Losing freedom and security to impress strangers. You trade financial safety for objects that only create fleeting impressions. Impressions that are often misdirected. Quote from Housel. People generally don't care about you as much as you think. They care about themselves. This can be liberating once you understand it. The social cost of showing off. Here's something Housel emphasizes. Showing off often reduces respect. Why? Because wealth flaunting can create envy, signal insecurity, alienate friends or peers, distract from your real character. The paradox deepens. You buy things to look good to others and end up looking worse in their eyes. What actually earns respect? If buying things doesn't win admiration, then what does? Housel suggests humility. People respect those who don't need to flaunt their success. Kindness. How you treat people lasts longer than any car you drive. Competence. Delivering results in your work earns trust. Authenticity. People admire those who are comfortable being themselves, not living a performance. Example: the quiet millionaire next door, who drives a modest car, dresses simply, and spends freely on experiences with family, often gets more genuine admiration than the flashy sports car owner. To break free from the man in the car paradox, recognize the illusion. People aren't thinking about you when they see your luxury item. Ask yourself before buying, am I doing this for my own happiness or for others' imagined admiration? Redirect resources. Spend money on things that genuinely improve your life, not your image. Seek invisible wealth, financial independence, security, freedom. Things that don't show but transform your life. Lessons from Chapter 8. Most people project themselves into your possessions. They don't think about you. Flaunting wealth rarely gains real respect. The desire to impress often leads to financial mistakes. Respect is earned through who you are, not what you own. Invisible wealth, freedom, security, relationships is far more valuable. The man in the car paradox teaches us something freeing. Most people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Once you accept this, you can stop chasing empty admiration and start building a life for you. But here's the twist. If most people aren't paying attention to you, why do so many still make risky financial decisions just to look good in the short term? In the next chapter, Morgan Housel dives into one of the biggest forces that drives human behavior with money, the power of compounding and patience, and reveals why those who understand it play a completely different game than everyone else. And trust me, once you hear it, you'll never look at small financial wins the same way again. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because the next chapter could completely rewrite the way you see time, money, and success.